Okay guys, I'm going to show you how to build the right and left sides of your box. I'm going to start by opening up a dimension sheet that should show us what we're building. This is what we're going to build. This should have all the information we need to build. And then I'm going to go ahead and open up Inventor. Now I already have Inventor open, but if you didn't already have it open, it's this little I right here, Autodesk Inventor. And Inventor is our 3D modeling software. It's pretty amazing the kind of stuff it can do. We're just going to scratch the surface today, but it's what my engineering students use to model all their ideas and see if things work before they actually hit print or make or whatever and get too far down the line. So I'll start by creating a part. Just click part right there. Say OK. And then I'm going to go ahead and start a 2D sketch. Okay. And by starting a 2D sketch, it brings up 3 planes. It brings up a YZ plane, an XZ plane, and the XY plane. Now I kind of think in the XY world, that's just where my mind goes, so I typically like to click on the XY plane. But you're welcome to do whatever you guys want. The second thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to go ahead and make this a little smaller because I want to be able to look at this at the same time I'm looking at this. I'm going to click this little guy and make this go away. So I'm just going to go ahead and slam this to one side, and then I'll click on this, and that will give me the split screen deal in Windows. I know you guys are all Mac users, so mind-blowing move right there. I'm going to go ahead and make this a little more proportionate because I want to see more of my modeling screen than I need my dimensions, but I still need to be able to read these. So what I'm going to start by doing is just kind of drawing this general shape. I'm not going to worry about the dimensions. I'm probably going to make some mistakes right away, but we can fix those later. So I'm going to select the line tool, and I'm going to start by drawing right here in this corner, and I'll show you why, because we'll do this arc last. And I'm just going to click and start drawing. Okay, now a couple things I do want to pay attention to. I do want to get these as I draw. Like I see that little upside down T, the perpendicular tool. I do want my lines to be perpendicular and parallel to each other, so I am paying attention to that. But I'm just drawing some shapes, and then as I get, as you draw near 2 lines, it will tell me 90 degrees, gives me some information, gives me a dimension at 0.064 inches. I'm not going to worry about that right now. It also tells me I'm aligned with that edge, which is great, and in the big picture, that's what you want to do. But I'm going to intentionally mess up this next one to show you that it's not that big a deal if you don't get that right away. So just drawing the shape here. I do want to get that perpendicular. I do want to get these edges, kind of idea. Also, a couple things, if I scroll in and out, I can zoom. And if I push down on the cursor, it gives me the hand tool, I can move things around, which is really helpful. I'm going to go ahead and keep drawing the shape. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to get that lined up, and then I'm going to basically get the shape minus the curve, and I'll just press escape. Let's go ahead and put the curve in. So the curve is an arc. I'll click on the arc tool, and I want to click on this end. I want to get that green dot and also that arrow pointing the red dot. That tells me that I'm right on the end there. And then I'm going to click on the other end, green dot, plus the arrow with the red dot. And then I just kind of make my arc. Again, I'm not worried about any of the dimension of that right now. There we go. I got the general shape. I can fix this in a little bit. I'm going to start by dimensioning it, couple overall dimensions. My biggest dimensions first. And by doing it this way, it'll save me a lot of confusion and time. And so I'm going to go ahead and click on one, and I'll show you how to do that one more time. Dimension. Then I click on one line, and I click on another line. And I can pull up. Doesn't really matter where you put them. You'll never see these again. But I want to get that dimension first. That dimension is 4. And you notice by doing my bigger dimensions, it scales everything up, which is perfect. If I'd done my smaller dimensions first, it can create a big mess. which students tend to freak out when that happens. So dimension is still selected. It's blue here highlighted, so I'm just going to go dimension here and here, and I'm going to put in 3.5. Awesome. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is, before I start dimensioning all the little dimensions, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, and I'm going to start using some constraints to make my life easier. Okay, so I'm going to start by using this collinear constraint, and if I hover over it and just hold, it'll pull up and say collinear constraint. I know I got the right one. It actually tells you how to use it too. I'm going to click on it. But what collinear constraint basically does is, these two lines you can see are not even with each other, and they need to be, is if I click on them, it makes them even with each other. I want to verify that these are collinear. I may have got it right, I may not have, but it'll tell me. It says, oh, adding this constraint will over-constrain the stretch, meaning I already did that. It already knew, but I just wanted to verify. Great, cancel. I do want to verify that these are collinear. They are. And that these are collinear. They were not, so that was good. Obviously, these are not collinear. Okay, so that's going to make my setup a little better as I move forward. The next constraint I'm going to use is the equals one right here, and it's just like it sounds. It makes things equal to each other. As I look at my dimensions, I can see, hey, look at this is 0.5, this is 0.5, and actually, if I had done the math here, this is 0.5 as well. So I'm going to go ahead and say equal, 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 equal. Okay, and then I'm also going to go over here and say equal, 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 because we can assume that these dimensions on this side are the same as this side. If they were different, they would have been dimensioned. One last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go equal, equal, because I just said that those were the same. These dimensions down here, this 0.5 and this 0.5 are also equal, so I'll set this and this equal to each other, and this equal to each other. So they should all be the same. And let's see, that should be good. I should be able to go ahead and start dimensioning. So start to dimension. And I basically, with dimension, I can do, if I just want to dimension one line, like just this line here, I just click on it and I pull it out. And I'm going to say it was 0.625 and check mark. Dimension here, 0.5. I should only have to do that once, and that should dimension all these, and all these. Let's see here. This dimension right here probably should be figured out already, but we can just check. 0.1375. See how it already knows? Its inventor has done the math and figured it out. It's going to tell me, hey, dummy, I can figure that out. I know. And you can use that just to check sometimes if you don't trust. Is that 0.5? Oh, yeah, it was 0.5. It puts it in parentheses, meaning you can't change it. It's constrained to something else, but you can keep them, you can delete them, doesn't really matter. Let's see what else needs to be dimensioned here. If we look at my detail, there's some big dimensions in here. So this is just a blow up of this area, but there's some big things I need to get out of here. So I'm gonna hit dimension again. This dimension, for example, is 0.125, and it says 0.125 TYP, which means typical, meaning you can assume all of these are the same. It looks like I can already tell I might have made a mistake here, and so I'm going to go and use the equal sign and make sure that this is equal to this. So I want those to also be 0.125. So there you go, easy fix. To keep dimensioning, this right here should be 0.875. Okay. Here I can click on corners too. This corner and this corner, and if I pull up 0.25, I can see that dimension I'm pulling from right there. If I dimension again, click on the same two corners, but this time go this way. Oh, it already knew that, so we're good. I can leave or delete it. We're good. But this should be a 45-degree angle, so that makes sense. Right here, 0.5. Okay. Actually, we're looking pretty good. Oh, our arc. Let's put our arc in. And we want this to be 2. Okay, so that should change that. So we're missing a couple things. We're missing our hole here and our two little rectangular holes there. So let's go ahead and put those in. I'll use a circle tool, and I'm just going to go ahead and put a circle in there. Okay, and I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to dimension that circle. Okay, so the circle is always dimensioned by their diameter. So I'm going to change that to 0.25 diameter. And then you always need to locate circles by their center mark. So I'm going to zoom in here. So if I click on the circle, I click on the center mark, I click on the circle, it knows that, hey, you always dimension circles by their center marks. And I want that to be, let's see, 0.4. And I click here and here, and I want that to be 0.3125. That should be good. Lastly, I think I need to put in those square rectangles, like you said. So I'm just gonna, so I just use the rectangle tool here. I'll show you guys. So rectangle, really easy to use. Put one there, put one there. Okay, dimension 0.5. Yep. I could have set those equal to each other and not had to dimension. I am going to use the collinear just to double check so that I know they're even with each other. It already had that set up, so we're good. Dimension here, 0.125, and that changed that when you saw that. If I don't believe it, I can always pull it out. Let's see here, dimension here, dimension here to here, and I'm going to want that to be 1. It's right there. And dimension here to here, also 1, and then Inventor can do the math and figure out that that would also be 1 as well. I think we got it. I think that's the shape. We can always come back and fix things if we need to. No big deal. I'll show you how to do it real quick. I'll hit Finish Sketch. Okay, and there it is. Now what we're going to do is we're going to extrude this. So we're going to take this from a 2-dimensional object and make this a 3-dimensional object. So I'll hit Extrude. And I want to select, the profile selected, so I want to select my shape. Okay, and I don't want to come an inch, I only want to come 0.125 or 1/8 of an inch out. And there is my shape. I'm going to move this real quick. I'm going to do something real quick there. There we go. That way I can see some other things. So by doing that, expanding that, I can go ahead and see my little box that helps me cube, that helps me move things around. I can look at it from other angles, which is kind of neat. Start to see, hey, what does it look like down here? You can see why modeling software becomes really important. If I hit the home button, it should go back to the original view. This is called an isometric view. If I made a mistake, and I make mistakes all the time, you can go back and fix them. So if I made a mistake in the sketch, like, oh, I got something wrong, I could actually go ahead and click this down and expand the extrusion. So over here, this is called the browser, and it keeps track of everything you do, the order and so forth. So by extrusion, that was me pulling it out to 1/8 of an inch. If I click this arrow here, I could double click on this. I could change any dimension I want to change. Like, for example, if I needed to change this to 0.55, it would obviously change everything in my drawing because I had a lot of things that were tied to that, equal to that. I'm going to change that back to 0.5. Or if I need to add something, whatever, I would do that, and then I hit Finish Sketch again, and it would update everything. So that's great. Finally, I want to save this file. So you're going to go File, and Save. You're going to find your folder to put it in, and you save it. I already have this file saved, so I'm not going to save it. But make sure you do that because you're going to need all these in a little bit. Okay, that should be the first one. That was definitely the most difficult of all the ones to do. Should get you guys going.